Morimoto's XB LED headlights are a fan favorite among C6 Corvette owners, and it's not hard to see why. Though they command a bit of a premium when it comes to their price, the serious upgrade in looks and lighting output make the extra spend easy to justify. Undoubtedly, the most controversial part of the C6 Corvette styling are its headlights, and I think it's the part that ages these cars the most. Morimoto, though, has thankfully created something that not only works well with the C6's styling, but also backs up those good looks with plenty of output. For the XBs, they took design inspiration from the next generation C7 Corvette, and that is not a coincidence. These bring a more sleek and modern appearance to the front end, and the lighting really packs a punch. The boomerang-shaped LED here is going to serve as your daytime running light and give off that modern-looking diffused white, which will dim when you switch on the headlights. Speaking of, those headlights are bi-LED projectors, and they are far going to outshine the factory HIDs, which were never great to begin with and have gotten a lot worse over time. The LEDs put out around 2,500 raw lumens of light and will give you a wide beam pattern with a nice sharp cutoff, as is typical for projectors, so you'll be able to see down the road much more clearly than you ever would with the stock headlights. Now, rounding out the upgrades are yet more LEDs, these 6 individual elements here on the outside edge that are stacked. These are going to function as your turn signals, and they illuminate a bright amber when you indicate. They are also sequential and run from the bottom up to the top, which doesn't really have any functional benefit, but come on, sequential turn signals, they're always cool. Construction is another reason that these are a fan favorite. Beyond the looks, you can see and feel just how nicely these are made. The outer housing is ABS plastic with a UV-coated polycarbonate lens over top that is made to meet OEM standards. What that means is that they're not going to fade or crack really early like some less expensive aftermarket options. The DRLs are powered by Osram 5000K units, and the main beams are Morimoto's own Korea Optic bi-LEDs. They also utilize die-cast aluminum heat sinks on the inside to provide more than enough cooling to keep everything running smoothly. And you can tell that the overall fit and finish is just excellent. Plus, they come with a 5-year limited warranty. They also have integrated adjusters on the back, meaning that they are DOT and SAE compliant, making them fully street legal, and they come already wired in and ready to go for you, so all you gotta do is plug a few things in. More on that though in a moment. Pricing comes in at about $1,800, and that puts the XBs at the top of the category. Now, as we've already kind of talked about and alluded to, these are a premium offering and thus command that premium price. And while there are certainly less expensive options out there, they aren't going to have the same build quality or level of features. As the saying goes, you get what you pay for, and that is certainly the case here. The plug-and-play integration, the quality, and the features I think really speak for themselves, and if you're willing to spend the money, these are going to be a great option to upgrade your C6. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. Now that might sound like a lot for headlights, but it's only because it does require a bit of disassembly in order to access the lights on the car. Once you're in there though, the whole thing is totally plug and play. No wiring is required, you just gotta plug in a few things and then button it all up and go enjoy. All that said, we're gonna walk you through the process step by step right now, so for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you will need an impact, a ratchet, a T15 Torx bit, shallow and deep 7mm sockets, 10mm socket, a clip removal tool, needle nose pliers, and also not shown here is an extra set of hands, whatever socket you use for your wheels, and a jack and jack stands. What's up guys, today we're going to be doing some headlights on our Corvette, so let's get started. Alright guys, so to get the headlights off, we've actually got the vehicle in the air. We've got the front wheels off because we need to access the inner panels of our fender liner to remove a bunch of stuff, because we are going to need to remove the front bumper as well. So what we're going to do is remove our lower fender liner section as well as our access panel for our backside of our headlight. It's held on by a various amount of push clips. So we've got our clip removal tool. We're going to pop those out on both sides. So we're going to take our clip removal tool. We'll start with our access panel. We just want to pop the intersection of these clips and you'll be able to get under, work the whole clip out. Sometimes these are a little stubborn, so be careful with them. Then you want to remove the rest of your clips and we'll take this out. Now once you've got your last clip ready to come out, you pull that out and pull your panel out as well. Next we're going to remove all the clips for our lower fender liner. So all these across the front row and then all these right on the edge of our bumper. Again with our clip removal tool. We'll start down here. Now you want to make sure to take this bottom push clip out that holds these two trim pieces together. Now that we have that one out, there's also some screws on the bottom side, so we'll get under there and take those out as well. So now we're underneath the front of the bumper, and we have 5 7mm screws around the edge of our little bottom wind deflector, and we also have a 10mm nut. We're gonna need to remove all of these. So we've got our 7mm socket on our impact first. We'll get all these bolts out, or screws rather, and then we'll come back for this nut. We'll get our 10mm nut off. So now we're going to pop this edge trim off of our center section. It's just held on with a push clip. We're going to grab our tool. And these are both soft, so you want to be careful with them. Just set that aside. Now we're going to get our lower fender liner section out. The first thing we need to do is pull all the layers off of this stud. Pull that down. Pull that down. And this should come right out. Now once you have this side out, you can repeat the same process for the other side. Now we're going to come underneath the front center section of our bumper, and you should have 5 7mm screws across this middle section. We only have 3, but it should be 2 on the outer section here, 2 in these recesses, and then 1 in the middle. So we're going to take our 7mm socket and remove those now. And you'll notice the center section of your bumper is pretty much loose. Next, we're going to have to take our marker bulb and our marker light housing out of the bumper because it is in the way of the 2 screws that are up here holding the edge of our bumper in place. So we're going to disconnect the socket fully, and then we'll pop our marker light out. It's just held in with 2 tabs. You just need to squeeze them and push your light assembly out. Now we'll get our whole socket assembly out. We're just going to give that a twist counterclockwise. Sometimes these are a little stubborn. We'll get our light assembly out. Again, these 2 tabs you just need to squeeze and push. Pop your light assembly out. Now we can access the 2 10mm nuts holding the edge of our bumper on. So we're going to get those off with our 10mm socket on our ratchet. Tight in here. Now we can come in and unplug our fog light connector as well as our headlight harness. For your fog light, you're just going to come to the connector, pull back on these little retainer tabs, pop that connector off. And for our headlight harness, you should have a gray safety tab that you need to pull back there. Once you pull that back, you can press down and unplug your headlight harness. And once you have this side to this point, you can do the same thing for the other side. Next, we can come inside our engine bay to the back side of where our bumper mounts up front, and we're going to remove the 4 7mm screws along that front section. So we've got our 7mm shallow socket on our ratchet, and we'll get in there and pop those out. You want to make sure you don't drop these. And you can remove the 2 on the other side as well. Next, you're going to need to carefully pull up and out on this inside section because this does have 2 little hook tabs that we need to release. Pull out and up. You want to do the same thing on the other side. Now we're going to come to these corners right by our headlights where our bumper mounts, and they're just held on by some little retainer tabs. So we're going to very carefully pull up on those and release those tabs. Just like that. You can do the same thing on the other side. All right, so now I've got an extra set of hands, and we're going to very carefully pull up and out on the top section of our bumper and remove it and set it aside. Now we're also going to remove this inner foam piece. We have 3 10mm bolts holding it in place. So we've got our 10mm socket and we're going to pop those off. You do want to support this when you get 2 out. We'll set this aside. Now we can get under the bottom section of our headlight area and remove the 3 10mm screws for our mounting studs. So we've got our 10mm socket on our ratchet, and we'll pop these off. So your studs are located in each kind of corner of the triangular section here. So you've got one up front, one in the back, and then one on the outer section. Get in here. Alrighty guys, so now we also need to remove the nut on this 10mm stud that's going to free up the side of our fender. So we've got our 10mm socket and we're going to pop this off. It's just going to allow this to move a little bit more freely. Now in addition to that nut, we're also going to need to remove all of the T15 torque screws along the inner mounting points of our fender, because we are going to need to lift this up a little bit to allow clearance for our headlight to come out. So we've got our T15 torque bit on our ratchet and we'll get these popped out. And we'll lift our fender out, we'll be able to get our headlight out. Just want to be mindful of your weather stripping. Don't get that pinched. Now we can lift our fender up slightly to allow clearance for our headlight to come out. You want to be very careful when doing this. Doesn't need to come out that far. Once we got it up, we'll pick up on our headlight. We can slide it out. And once you've got this one out, you can do the same thing for the other side. All right, so now that we have our harness ran, we can begin installing our new headlights. So what we're going to do is slide our main part of our connectors through our bottom opening. Now this single wire connector right here is going to dictate whether you have sequential or solid turn signals. Now if you tuck this back in here, you'll have to disassemble everything again in order to get there and change it. But there is a small recess between the fender and the inner mounting point. You can tuck this in and just have it accessible in the engine bay so you don't have to take everything apart if you want to change things up. It'll be perfectly fine there. Now that we have that in, we'll lift our fender. Slide our headlight in place. Now if that does drop down, you'll have to grab it and put it back up there. Now we'll reinstall all of the torque screws along the inner fender mounting point. Now you want to do your best to line it up exactly where it came off, because obviously we did move it. We'll very gently run these back in with our T15 torque bit. Now we'll come underneath our headlight area and we're going to plug in our single pin connector from our adapter harness. This one's kind of right below the headlight area. Make sure that gets into place. Now your ballast box, you can secure it however you'd like, as long as it's tucked in this area, it's fine. Now we can plug in our headlight connector itself. So we'll lock that in. Again, if you have that gray safety tab, you want to make sure to push that back in. Now we're going to reinstall our 10mm nut on our outer fender mount, as well as our 3 10mm nuts for our headlight. Again, these are all right at the corners of the triangle. Get all those started. So let's tuck back in here. Then we'll grab our 10mm socket on our ratchet and tighten all these down. Now once you've reached this point, you can do the same thing for the other headlight. Now we can reinstall our foam inner bumper cover. Now we've got one of our bolts with our large plastic washers in our 10mm socket. We're going to line up that center one and just get it loosely started so we can get the other two in, then we'll tighten them all down. Now we can set our bumper back in place. Now, if you have an extra set of hands, definitely grab an extra set of hands, but you can do this by yourself. Just have to be very careful. So we're gonna grab it by the center of the nose, get the center section tucked under our hood. Again, be very careful with that. Get that section kind of set in place, and then we'll work on our sides. So now we can get the center section of our bumper back over this lip, kind of hooked in place. You have to grab it from the front, kind of lift and push. If you're having trouble getting this over the hump, you take a body tool, kind of help you work this up and over. And you want to make sure your edges get locked in as well. We'll get this back in place. We'll get that popped in and centered. Then we can reinstall our screws up front. Now we're going to reinstall our 7mm screws. You want to make sure to start these by hand. You don't want to drop them trying to get them in. Get these two started. We'll do the same thing for the other side. Now we'll grab our 7mm socket and tighten these back down. Once you have these two tight, you can do the same thing for the other two. Next, we're going to get the sides of our bumper lined back up on our studs and reinstall our 10mm nuts. Put this back up. These in. We'll get one of our nuts in just to hold that in place. We'll get our second one on. Then we'll grab our 10mm socket and tighten these back down. Now we'll reinstall our marker light assembly. Line that back up. Pop that back into place. Then we can come around and reinstall our bulb and socket and plug our fog light in. We'll get our marker bulb socket back into place. You have to turn it to get it seated. Once it seats, you want to give it a little turn. Lock that back into place. And we can plug our fog light back in. Line that up. Plug back in. Now we can get our inner fender liner back in place. So you want to line that up with your air duct for your tube. Also going to have to get it back behind a little trim. That's set. You can actually reach in Get your air duct set. Now we're gonna put a couple of our clips back in just to kind of hold this onto the bumper. Get this one down bottom in. Just gonna help line that up. And we'll get one in up here. We're not gonna put any of these in just yet. So now we'll get our 3 pieces lined back up with this stud. It's hard to see, but you'll see it once we get all the layers in. Get this over the stud. And we'll reinstall our 10mm nut. Get that back on. We'll tighten that back down with our 10mm socket. We'll get our 2 7mm screws back in to hold our 2 trim pieces together. Now we'll get our lower edge piece back in, so we're going to line that back up with our push clip. Pop that into place. And we'll get our 3 7mm screws in along the bottom. We'll start with our outer one. It's going to pretty much keep it lined up. Get our middle one. Now we'll get the rest of our push clips back in our fender liner. Just pop those back in. Now we'll get our access panel cover back on. So we've got it with one of our clips. Get that first one in. Get this other edge in. Now once you've reached this point, you can repeat this same process for the other side, then we'll come back and reinstall our center 7mm screws. Now the last thing we have to do is install our center mounting screws. So we've got our 7mm socket, we'll get those in. Remember, you should have 5, we only have 3, but we'll get those in place. Now you can throw your wheels back on and you're good to go. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Morimoto XB LED headlights with black housings and clear lenses for your 05 to 13 Corvette C6. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Corvette, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.